Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so now we got to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and the Golden State Warriors. Game 5. Series headed back to Memphis. Should be a hell of an environment there. Unfortunately, you won't be seeing Ja Morant. Of course, he's been ruled out for the majority of the playoffs. That's basically what they're saying at this point. And so, maybe if they make the finals, he plays a Game 7 or something. Who knows? But other than that, he's out. And, they're relying upon their defense at this point. It's going to be about defense and rebounding. Their scoring comes and goes if you're the Memphis Grizzlies, but your defense can always remain. I think the key for them to keep their season alive is making sure that some of their old demons from these playoffs don't rear their ugly heads in tonight's game. One being Jaren Jackson's foul trouble. Cannot get in foul trouble. You can't have a situation where you have to sit him down early. He needs to be out there. Another thing that needs to change, that has not been good, is Dillon Brooks' shot selection and his overall play. Obviously, he got himself suspended on the flagrant foul that hurt GP2. He hurt himself. He hurt the man early in the game, so he was also removed, of course, from that game in its entirety, basically, too. So he's missed 2 games in this series. The other games that he's played, his inefficiencies been pretty much a very glaring weakness for their squad. And in this game, he just played in. Not only was he bricking a lot, but he was turning the ball over. Now, me, personally, I did not acknowledge how poorly he played. I was more so looking at the play that he had on the end, where he was passing up a 3-point shot and drove to the lane, made a good, easy layup, and I gave him credit for that and said I liked the shot selection. Didn't really pay attention to the stats like I should have. I apologize for not being on top of it, but if you zoom out to just about every other video I've had, we've talked a lot about his issues shooting the ball. In fact, I accidentally called him Dillon Bricks on this camera once throughout these playoffs. It's been that bad. It really has. And if they're going to have any success whatsoever, he must be on the floor because he helps their defense to that degree. But he must be efficient and aggressive, which is something he hasn't proven he can do in these playoffs. So that's something that they're going to have to manage. Kyle Anderson, he was 7 for 8 in the last game. It was a situation where I felt like as soon as they set him down, things fell apart. His plus-minus wasn't that great. I don't know why that is. Maybe because of a couple fouls, but when you're 7 for 8 playing the way that he was, you want to see him on the floor down the stretch of the game. And I do think that very substitution may have actually been what ultimately let the Golden State Warriors back in and close the door. He was just continuing to score and rebound and do the things that they needed him to do. And when a guy, I always say, play the hot hand. When the hot hand is on the floor and he's doing well, there's no reason to take him off the floor. Keep him out there, especially when you're down a man. Not playing Brandon Clarke, that needs to change. I don't know what Taylor Jenkins is doing. I understand Brandon Clarke has not been himself in this series, but part of that has to be how you're using him. I understand the matchups are different. You don't have the same things you're guarding against the Pelicans in this series. Now, so him being the Timberwolves. So him being somebody that jumps and rebounds and runs with all these young players may not be necessary for this series, but that doesn't mean you remove him from the series. That was a mistake. Get him back out there and get his confidence up. At home, he should be a driving force for what it is that happens tonight. If you don't use him like one of your most important players, I think it's a mistake. Huge one. Steven Adams. I think he had the best plus-minus of anyone on the floor in that game for their team. He's been removed from these playoffs. I don't think it was a questionable decision. I actually agreed with it because they were going up against a lot of shooting in situations that just couldn't keep him on the floor in the previous series. But in this one, he's helped. And I said, I think it was game 3, that they should get him out there because even though, yes, you're going up against Golden State who can shoot over you, you're also going up against guys like Kevon Looney who are going to park it in the paint. Draymond Green, who's not shooting the 3. So you can get away with having a traditional center on the floor with Golden State because they also have a traditional center on the floor at the same time. So not playing Steven Adams just left them without rebounding. And you see how the Golden State Warriors have been able to crash the offensive glass the entire series. That's really where they've won it, to be honest with you, is putting themselves in the position to constantly pull down boards on these young kids who don't have their best offensive rebounder on the floor when it happens. So Steven Adams and Brandon Clarke need more minutes in this series tonight because this season's going to end if they don't win it. And of course, Desmond Bane. He's been dealing with the bad back. He wasn't as efficient as he needed to be in this last game. When Ja Morant's out, Dillon Brooks can't throw anything going. You need to, obviously Jaren Jackson, even though he was scoring 0 for 7 from 3, you need Desmond Bane to be the guy. Period. He needs to be the guy. He has to play well in order for them to win. And when Ja was out throughout the regular season, they were winning all them games. It was because he was playing like an all-star. So in these playoffs, he hasn't been himself. I know it's because of the back, but like Mark Jackson says, if you're out there, you're good. So you need Desmond Bane to give you over 30 tonight, and he's gonna have to be very good from behind the arc. So that's what you're looking at if you're to go the Memphis Grizzlies. If you're the Golden State Warriors, I think you don't want to play extra basketball. That's always been my thing with the Warriors. Don't play with your food. You got a chance to close this team out. Close them out. Like literally, close them out. Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. Check this out. Klay Thompson, you've been a problem for your team, fam. And I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Klay Thompson. I think he's going to bounce back. But his conditioning's not where it is. He's not used to his newfound body. And because of it, he is bumbling and fumbling all over the place. In this series, he's been very, very bad. Very, very consistently. I think you need to do something about that. I don't know what you do, but you don't let him continue to shoot poorly and lose confidence. It's the playoffs, man. If he's going to go for 5 or 20 or something, he got to sit down. Klay Thompson or not. This is the playoffs. And that's what Jordan Poole is for. He's supposed to give you some insurance for the Splash Brothers. If they're not going, he got to go. And that's what they didn't have in the last game. He wasn't at his best. They were able to get away with it. But he's going to have to be more efficient. He's going to have to be better. I'm looking at the Golden State Warriors saying they're not exactly out of the woods. We do understand that the Memphis Grizzlies are a better defensive team without Ja Morant. He is their weakest link defensively. And they're going to clamp. Like I said, from Memphis tonight, it's about the defensive end. It starts with Jaren Jackson and Dillon Brooks clamping. Simple as that. Clamping. Using Steven Adams and Brandon Clarke on the glass. Pull them down. Everything else is just efficient basketball play. Efficiency. You can't be selling for jump shots. That Jaren Jackson 0 for 7 crap, that cannot happen. Those need to be plays that are efficient. Inside dunks, jump hooks, and layups, stuff like that. I don't mind him shooting threes. But 7 of them, you're trying to lose if you shoot 7 threes, Jaren. You're trying to lose. Unless you're hot, don't do that. Same with Dillon Brooks, man. Listen, the 3-point shot from Memphis, y'all are not 3-point shooters, bro. None of y'all. The only one that I would say is a real 3-point shooter is probably Zaire Williams and Desmond Bane. That's it. Those are the only 2 real shooters out there for y'all. Don't jack up threes. You know what I mean? Don't. It's that simple. I understand you're going up against the Golden State Warriors, but you can't win a 3-point contest with the Golden State Warriors. You gotta win it a different way. I think the best way to win that battle is to get them in foul trouble and get those shooters off the floor. It's not to go back and forth with threes with them. It's to drive into the teeth of those shooters and flop off of them when you get in contact. That's how you beat the Golden State Warriors. You get into a 3-point shooting contest, jacking up 50 shots against the Golden State Warriors, and they sending your butt home. That's a fact. So, with that being said, the Golden State Warriors need to pick better 3-point shooters, shoot shots to take. And a part of that is Klay Thompson, jacking them all up all over the place. Steph Curry, he gets the green light at all times. He's not been his most efficient self either. So, you got those 2 players jacking up bricks, and suddenly you can shoot yourself out of this game too. And I said that at the beginning of the series. Just because you're the Warriors don't mean that you need to be tossing up threes without any sense of brain. No, you got to pick good shots and take every possession seriously because you're going up against a good defensive team who have players who can play the perimeter. So you thinking you could just jack them all up like that, shoot yourself out of the game. You've already shot yourself out of certain games in this series. We see the numbers. So Golden State, the perimeter is important. Play it on the defensive side. If you can keep them inefficient, them boys going home. Simple as that. As long as Dillon Brooks going 5 for 22, Desmond Bane going 5 for 13, whatever it is, they're going to go home. But you're going to play right into their hands if you're jacking up bricks. Simple as that. So, I'm not overly in love with the Golden State Warriors this year. Not after getting a good look at them in these last 2 series. They're flawed. They're a flawed bunch, man. They have a lot they need to work with. Their defense is a bit suspect at times, especially without GP2. And they're going to have to tighten up. If they're going to win the championship, they're going to have to close this team out now. Because if they play extra games with this team, it don't bode well for them. They start to picking up certain injuries. That's not good. They need Klay Thompson to find himself, and one of the ways that's going to happen is if they get the hell out of this series and get back to the gym for him to practice and do all the things that he needs to do in rest and recuperation, because he's looked very, very bad in these playoffs. Now, that don't mean he can't go off for 63 points with 3 dribbles tonight. He certainly can, but he's been off. That's that simple. He's been very off. He's hurt his team, and defensively, he's not that guy anymore. So I know they experimented with putting Jordan Poole in the starting lineup. It was working for a while. Maybe that's something you try. I don't know, but if Klay's looking bad tonight, I'm sitting him down straight up. So that's what it is, man. So it's a road game for the Warriors. Their fans are gonna be spirited. They don't want to go home. They've had a long year. Memphis has had a long year, and I'm sure Team Morant will be out there. It's gonna be jumping. You're gonna see Memphis finest. Everybody's gonna be there. And at the end of the day, this is the team that plays better without Ja Morant historically throughout this season. That is the truth. They beat people without him. They play better defense without him. They tend to just win. So maybe that trend continues. I don't know. But the Golden State Warriors are going to have to be prepared for a battle tonight. Simple as that. If they don't bring it with the intent of demoralizing this young team, you're going to play a game 7. And if that happens, or so rather a game 6, and if that happens, anything can happen. You let this thing get back to Golden State. Maybe they pull out another victory, and you look up, you're playing a game 7 against a bunch of kids. You don't want that. So I think Golden State takes care of it tonight. I really do. I think this thing is over. I like Ja Morant's team, but without him, they don't have that closer. They don't have that certified bucket getter down the stretch of the game when things start to go crazy. Maybe you got Dillon Brooks going off. Maybe you don't. Maybe you got Desmond Bane hitting shots. Maybe you don't. Jaren Jackson. Maybe you don't. But the consistency isn't there when Ja isn't. So that's really what it comes down to for me. I trust them defensively, but I don't think they can put up enough points against Golden State. Simple as that, not without Ja. So that's what I'm predicting, man. I think this series ends. It's been a hell of a year for the Memphis Grizzlies. I've been rooting for them. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they're able to keep it going, but I do believe in the Golden State Warriors. When they have a chance to close you out, particularly them Splash Brothers, they're going to close you out. That's what I expect. At the end of the day, that's what history tells us. They've earned that respect from me. So they closing you out. You going home. That's what it is. BDL 44. I thank y'all for watching.